Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Advanced Bass Fishing, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to watch today's video. Always grateful to have you guys around here. Today we're going to be talking about a few things that you probably don't know about bass, and by knowing these things, it's going to help you guys not only catch more fish, but sort of get a different understanding and a different appreciation for the fish, because they are incredible creatures, a bass is. And there's a couple things that you probably don't know about them that I'm going to have a little talk about today. And sort of, guys, it's just sort of an ongoing mission that I've got to just help you learn as much as you can about bass fishing. There's so much to learn about it, and you don't need to be getting in any big hurry. Just take your time, learn as you go. You don't have to get in a big rush about it. It's a lifelong endeavor, man. It doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 100 years old. You always got more stuff to learn about them. So we're going to get into that in today's video. I think you guys will enjoy it. Also, guys, a quick reminder, two things. I want to invite everybody, if you guys are getting ready to get stocked up on your spring fishing, just to please check out my tackle warehouse link I put in every video description. If you guys go into my description and use and bookmark that link when you buy tackle, the channel gets a small percentage of a commission on anything you buy. So that's a really good way to support the channel, and really appreciate everybody's taking time to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much there. Okay, there is a lot of things about bass that a lot of people don't know, and I don't want this to be like an hour-long video, so I'm going to talk about a couple things that you probably don't know about bass that you may find interesting. And the first thing I want to talk about is how intelligent a bass is. One of the things when I do videos, I hear a lot of people talking about bass are just stupid little pea-brain creatures that just eat and make babies and that's it. But guys, bass are apex predators in their environment. They have gotten to the top of the food chain in most freshwater lakes, and you don't get there by being stupid. It's like, in order to survive as long as bass have in a diversity of different type of waters, they are the most adaptable, intelligent creature that swims out there. I mean, the scientists estimate that the largemouth bass lineage in some form has been around for over 3 million years on Earth. And you got to think about the different type of environments they had to thrive in over the course of 3 million years. It's not just like, your favorite lake. They had a lot of opposition against them, and to be able to maintain that species for that long a time, it takes an incredible amount of intelligence. So you can't equate human intelligence to a bass's intelligence. A bass's intelligence is completely different, and I just think that deserves respect. I mean, a lot of people, they just don't respect the fish for the incredible creature that they are and the place they have on the planet here. So that's one of the things about it. Next thing you probably don't know about bass. Now, a lot of this is my opinion from my experience, what I've seen, is we've talked about this a little bit, but I want to delve into a little bit more. A lot of people, when they go fishing, they say, well, they're just not biting today, or they're just not feeding, or they're just not hungry. From what I have seen in my own studies and observation about bass, is most of the time when you catch a bass, it's not because that bass is hungry and actively feeding. They are opportunistic. I think most of the active feeding that goes on from bass occurs at night, all year long. I just think they are low light creatures. I think that's when they do a lot of their hunting. And I think that when you catch a bass during the daylight hours, it's because of a lot of different factors. Now, those factors include things like curiosity, reflex strikes, anger, competition, just a lot of different variables other than they're just hungry and they want food. You've seen that a lot in schooling situations, the mood and the personality of the bass as far as what causes them to feed. Now, another thing about that is they will get anything they can a lot of times. It's like sometimes bass will just not bite at all, but sometimes they take advantage of anything they can get by, even if they aren't hungry. And that, again, I think, in my opinion, is out of some type of a reflex or instinctual something they have inbred with them. That's why, if you're fishing objects like around a boat dock or a stump or lay down a tree or something, and you throw your lure past there and one comes out and grabs it, I think that fish is not necessarily actively feeding at the time, but by that lure coming past him at a certain speed at the right angle, it triggers that reflex strike, that internal primal reflex strike about never pass up food if they can most of the time. So given that, one of the things that you can do to use your advantage is don't really focus on catching bass that you think they want to eat something that's real edible to them, like you're offering them some irresistible meal. Try to figure out the mood and the personality of the bass, how they want to react to a bait at a specific time. And that's why usually during like some of the low light conditions or windy and cloudy days, a reaction moving baits better. And on the bright days with not much wind, some of the bottom bouncing lures a little bit better. It's just that the whole mood and the personality of the fish. Another thing you may not know about them, guys, is bass are like people. But the habits that bass have and the places they live are as diverse as human beings, because, you know, like myself, it would be a living hell for me to live in New York City. You know, I would just never do that in a million years. I like living out, you know, away from people. And some people, they wouldn't move away from New York City if you paid them $1 million. They love it. And it's the same with bass. Some bass prefer certain areas to be around certain fish, and others are loners. Now, you may have one bass that travels, you know, 50, 60 miles during the course of its life. It may take up a resident in one creek, and it may swim across the lake to another cove and back and forth, and they're all over the place. Some of them are swimming around out in the middle of the lake their whole life. And then others, there may be a big log in the water and 5 foot of water, and they may spend their whole life within, you know, 100 yards of that log, and they just don't ever leave it. That's just where they live at. So in terms of how you can equate that into bass fishing, is you always have to approach the fish that you are fishing for as if they are individual personality fish. And you can't like lump all of them together. You can't ever say like the fish are doing that, or the fish are doing this, or this is where the fish are going to be, because they're all over the place and there's no rhyme or reason of it. It's sort of like if you guys have, I don't know if you've done much fishing in the springtime of the year in real clear water, but certain times of the year, usually around the spawn time, not necessarily right when they're spawning, it could be right before or during or after, you'll see a lot of bass cruising the bank in shallow water. You know, they just are swimming down the bank. Some of those bass, when you see one swimming down the lake, you can throw like a wacky rig 10 foot in front of it, and that bass will dart over there as fast as it can and gobble up that wacky worm. And other bass, even on the same day, I mean, even in the same cove, you can throw to another bass, and as soon as that wacky worm hits the water, that bass spooks and it darts out to deep water as fast as it can get away from that wacky rig. So that's one of those mysterious things about fishing we don't really understand about, you know, why bass do certain things at certain times. And that's okay, because main thing about it, guys, and I try to stress this in all my videos, you don't want to know everything about a bass. Don't ever have this mindset that you want to learn everything that there is to know about bass, because that is no different than, you know, you opening all your Christmas presents the day before Christmas. There's no satisfaction or gratification to knowing everything. You want that mystery to be part of fishing. Now, you can unravel part of those mysteries on your own, but don't ever have this burning desire to like want to know all things of all places in bass fishing, because it will really diminish the sport a little bit. One of the things that, in my opinion, that is the best thing about fishing, let's say, for example, if you and I are getting ready to fish, we see a nice little main lake point down the lake there, and the wind's blowing in on it perfect, everything's set up perfect for it, and we roll into that point, and unless we have some type of electronic technology, you don't know what's on that point. It's like, oh my God, there could be anything on that point. There could be a big school of bass on there. There may be one bass on there. There might not be any bass on there. But that unknown is powerful, and embrace that unknown. And I think you'll find your fishing a lot more rewarding. So anyway, guys, just a few thoughts here. Hope you guys are well. We'll talk later.